Hey y'all, good afternoon. Today we are doing the book review for Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. This is her first adult fantasy book, and as someone who hasn't read any of her other stuff, I thought it was really good. There have been some mixed reviews saying her YA, other books were better. I'm working though. If you haven't seen my videos before, thank you for clicking on this one, and I hope you enjoy the review. There will be a spoiler thoughts, questions, more like questions section that is time stamped off, so you can avoid that if you don't want to be confused by the questions. I hope you enjoy this review, and we'll check out some of my other content. Let's get started before I say something weird. As I said, this is her first adult fiction fantasy book. Her YA series, the Our Violent Delights, maybe? Yes, was Romeo and Juliet inspired. This one is kind of similar, and it is inspired by another Shakespeare, Antony and Cleopatra. I never read that work either, so haven't read her inspiration material, haven't read any of her other work, just went into this book and was like, wow, okay, I like it. So there's that. Hopefully that still works for you. And our two main characters, I don't know if she did this in her other work, but our two main characters' first names start the same as Antony and Cleopatra. That would be, I'd say, our main character. The one you will see from the most, I'm pretty sure, is Princess Calla Trulaimi? She is a complicated character. She believes in doing what's best for the people, trying to help the people in where they are, but she is also very conflicted feeling about what she's doing. She feels she's making herself into this monster, but it's necessary to help the people. So you'll see it in her head, like or after she does do a thing where she's like kind of trying not to shake, trying not to show anybody else. That way they won't think she's weak. That way they will think she's emotionless and doesn't care what she's doing. She is willing to kill herself, martyr herself, make herself into the monster to save everyone else. And she feels that. She feels that on the inside. And she wonders sometimes if she's too far gone, if there is any hope for her, if she has any feelings left. It was a very interesting character to read, for sure. And then our second character, who is almost as much book time, is Anton how do you say his name? Mushinka? Maybe. He is a noble born in Sanir, where something happened 7 years ago and he was exiled. And since then, he has been spending every last dollar he could earn to keep his childhood love alive. Because she has been laying in like a comatose state in a hospital for these 7 years. And so he's willing to do anything almost. Except, unlike Calla, he doesn't really try to hurt people as much. Like you'll see in the beginning, don't know what I did. In the beginning part, he lives off of other people. He mooches off of other people's identities to survive, but he never actually tries to take their money as much. This is also from self-preservation, so nobody notices that he is there instead of that person being there. But he could totally take people's money, take loans out in other people's names, but he doesn't. He just kind of mooches off of them for their apartment, their food, things like that, and scrapes together money on the sides. But he is determined to enter the games, to win the prize, to continue paying her hospital bills. Then there is Prince August. He is an interesting one, because his motivation is similar to Calla's. Is he wants to save the people of Sanir and Talon. He wants to make it a better country. But he's willing to do a lot more bad things for his vision, but he's a very calculating person. He always thinks a lot of plans through, tries to figure out which one is actually going to work. I do feel like he's a bit narrow-minded, because once he's picked that plan, he is not willing to entertain others. This is his plan. He's smarter. He knows all the angles. This is what it has to be for success. And he's the only one that can do it. But there's that. And also he keeps things from us as readers too. Like it's somewhat straightforward, but there's a lot of motivation and a lot of hidden stuff that is not revealed in this book. But that could just be later coming out, layers. We need to see it in layers. Not all can be in the first book, of course, because it's going to be a series. This is the first book in what's going to be the Flesh and False Gods series. I think it's a trilogy. Getting distracted. Okay, so some of the characters ended up saying what the description was, but let's get into the description. Every year in the Twin Cities of San-Ir, there is a set of games where 87, I believe it's 88, that's supposed to be the number of prosperity or something. Contestants are selected by the palace to compete in the games. And the games are, where you kind of defeat / murder all the other contestants off until it's the last two battling out in their arena, and then they get to be welcomed by the king, and he gives them this sack of money. So the welcome by the king thing is what draws Princess Calla in. She has been on the run and hiding for 5 years because 5 years ago she murdered her parents, and she did not get to murder her uncle to completely wipe out the monarchy because he raised the palace defenses before she could get there. So she has been entering the games under false IDs for 5 years, trying to get the chance to win and go in and, greet the king, because since she murdered her parents, he hasn't left the palace. He has been on high alert since then, though funny enough, they told everybody she's dead. They said they caught her, no need to worry, the murderous princess is dead. And they're like, yeah. So, this year though, she has been picked under one of the false IDs to join the games, and she quickly rises to be one of the favorites in the games because this country did not raise pampered princesses. They trained her for battle, to take people out into the field and lead them. She was tutored as to know battle strategy, to know all of these different weapons. So she is a force to be reckoned with. And then our other main character, as I said, is Anton Mashinka. He is an exiled noble. He has been exiled for 7 years to be able, and him trying to pay for the hospital bills of his childhood love is his reason for entering the games. He has also been entering under false numbers, because he's exiled, so they would never pick his name. And he tries to get people out more in a manipulative sort of way. It shows his first person he gets out as he steals their armband, and that just makes them be out of the games. Because you don't actually have to murder them. People can just leave the games if they take off their armbands. So that's a kind of easy out thing for people who get into them and are like, hey, I actually don't want to die. Now, these two are both kind of brought together and seen helped by Prince August, who has a reason for wanting to help Calla. And they're cousins of a sort. He's also adopted. He's not blood related to her. He was adopted by King Cassa, who is Calla's uncle, and she wants to murder. And Prince August wants to heal the land of Talon because he sees that the people are suffering. He does not want this rule to continue. And so he recruits Calla to help him. He finds out who she is and that she's in the games. He's actually been looking for her. He never believed she was dead. Okay, so the world where this takes place is interesting because for the most part of the country of Talon, where we are, it's very rural and farming and poor. But the city of San-Ir, which is a walled off location, so it's very compact, very dense. They build their apartments upwards of 14 stories, but after that they feel like they might topple over. But how could they topple over when the next one is built right on top of it? As the city has grown and expanded, everything is pushed together. They'll knock down walls to make corridors through buildings. So you could travel at street level, you could travel through the buildings. And it's called the Twin Cities in the description because it used to kind of be 2 cities where you had King Cassa ruling the sand side, because because they're separated by a river as well. And then Kala's family ruling the Urside. And there have always kind of been two rulers, but they were the same family. So there's only the one crown, but the twin rulers of the country of Talon. Until 5 years ago when Kala killed off her parents and couldn't go kill off King Kasa. And since then, now he just kind of rules over everything himself. And what used to be a kind of nicer place of air has seen the refuse of sand come in, because there are so many people here. Squalor and everything, but they have technology. They have technology. The wristbands that the players wear are electronic. They are tracking devices. They can receive notification pings and text across the screens of, so it's like a Fitbit or a smartwatch. I'm not picturing it. I pictured more of a Fitbit style, like without the watch face itself, just like the band where the text would scroll across it. That's what I pictured. So yeah, they have electronics, they have TVs, they have computers, they have email, cell phones. So it was very interesting to read this sort of fantasy world magically, but this big city is an urban setting. And everyone out in the country, though, does not have access to this. They are poor. They don't have internet, anything like that. And so they kind of want to move to the city to get away from the poor life there, but the huge urban population, it is mostly poor in the city. People live under massive amounts of debt. That is what they enter the games for. Even though they know they could die, they enter the games just for the chance at the money prize to be able to buy their way out of debt, because everything is so very expensive. After digging through my notes and pages of the book, and it took forever to find it, but there's another country that I wanted to say, because we are told about Talon and also about this other country called Cyan, maybe Sakin, I don't know. It is the whole reason, though, the walled city is the way it is, because of a war where that country was trying to invade Talon, and the wall went up, and the palaces moved there, and the kings moved there, and then they just, after the war, they just kind of let everything fall into the, like, abyss or whatever. It is also mentioned because Sanir is there on the border of a river and an ocean in the Twin Cities, and there's a legend / myth about a third city and third ruler that used to be on an island out in the water, but it was sunken, swallowed up after they made the gods angry. I don't know. That probably won't come into play later. It is just a myth that was brought up. But considering some of the magic and how things kind of were brought up, especially in her author interview about how she wants to expand things in the future novels, I know that the other country will come into play and how they are involved, and you will hear their name mentioned a lot in the book. Not because you go there or anything, but you'll find out if you read the book. Okay, the description itself does mention the magic, kind of. It calls it jumping. And for the people of Sanir, they don't actually consider jumping magic, because it's something that you are inherently born with, pretty much. There are very few people born without the jumping gene, and it involves your chi. This is very interesting because pretty much what it is, it's your chi jumping from your body into another body. So pretty much your body is just a vessel, and when your chi leaves your body, it just leaves it in stasis. And like your body, if something happened to you and you left it, it would heal up itself. Even though without the chi there, it would heal up itself. It's, yeah. That's a very, very interesting feature, I feel like. Also, when you jump, there's always a light emitted as the chi is leaving its body. There's a very bright light. This is mentioned very early on. And so they always know when people are jumping. The palace has put a taboo on jumping. So like you're not supposed to do it, but everybody, you know, kind of does anyway. So bodies are just, the black market body market is a bit different in this world. The thing that you can tell though, whenever a new person goes into that body, they will always take their original eye color. People's eyes will change color based off, you know, if somebody has invaded their body. The silver eyes, though, are a specific group family of people, though, that are used as the royal guards because they are born with like a doubled chi already. Like there's already two people involved in their body, but it's just the one soul. So they cannot be invaded. So you will always know who the royal guard line people are because they will have these silver shaded eyes. One of the most common shaded eyes, though, is like brown and black. Like Prince August has dark eyes with like a blue hue around them, and Anton has darkish eyes with a purple tint to them. Princess Calla has bright yellow eyes, royal yellow eyes, which is kind of, her and King Kasa have about the same shade, and their yellow is very common as well, but this particular hue is called royal yellow because it is only seen in the royal line. Remember that. So the eye color thing is a good way to know when people change because you can see the eyes. And another form of the magic, though, that is only briefly shown in this, but she does say she wants to expand in future novels, so I can't wait to see that, is practices of the Hollow Temple or the Crescent Societies, because this is all still using chi, but we will see one of the side characters throw someone kind of telepathically against the wall. And that's just using her chi and using like forgotten practices. So that's going to be expanded on in future novels, and I'm very excited to see how this goes out because they don't consider jumping to be magic. It's just natural, and it's just a thing that happens in their world. Mostly in Sanir. You don't see it outside of the city as much, but you know, in a city of umpteen million people, it tends to happen, regardless of whether or not it's supposed to. Alright, spoilers. So jump forward now to the rating and final thoughts later because I need to ask questions of other people who maybe have read this book and are watching this video anyway, or just you're watching this video beforehand and you want to come back and help me with these thoughts because these stuck out to me. So these are the spoiler sections that we'll talk about. Hopefully everyone is gone now. Significant pause. Eye color. Remember how I said the eye color is important and to remember the royal eye color thing? So Calla's eyes are this bright yellow, the royal yellow shade, and it is never answered about that. When you find out about Calla's past and what really happened, I know this is spoilers, but I do try not to give away too much here, but just somebody tell me how the parents didn't put the pieces together, and how does she have that shade of eyes? Well, I guess there was that other thing kind of mentioned, but I don't know. And okay, her killing her parents 5 years ago is the other thing. It says that she saw something while just wandering the palace and saw something in the war room and it just pushed her over the edge. She had already been angry about, you know, the way people were being treated, and she thought that this would cause the people to rise up and revolt against the monarchy, and like fix their government, take off the monarchy and fix what's wrong and bring peace to the regular people. So she'd already had those feelings. She was dissatisfied with seeing people be treated bad, but she specifically said she saw something in the war room, something, you know, paper in the war room that set her off and straight to the throne room, murdered everyone in the throne room. What did she see? We are never told. And I mean, it's been 5 years, so it doesn't seem like anything much has happened in those 5 years. I really want to know what finally pushed her over that edge. And Prince August says to her when he's recruiting her to his side to, you know, fight for him and everything. He says, "Why did you kill your parents?" And she doesn't answer. And he's like, "That's my reason too." So is it just that they both, you know, want to help the people? Or is it something else? Does he know? What does he know? And this one, I'm not sure about. It might have been answered and I overlooked it, even though I tried to read the last few chapters again to see if like it was explained. But Calla keeps getting attacked by kind of like these husks. I get that the jumping thing and what the Hollow Temple does and their way of jumping, I do kind of get that. But normally when the body's left, you know, whoever was in that body before would have like come back to the surface and they would have to deal with the wounds or whatever. So who is sending these empty vessels after Calla? I don't remember that being answered or how the empty vessels were being sent. Like what is that? What are these empty vessels? Who's sending them after her? Was it that person? Because I don't think it was, but maybe I missed the part where he did say that it was. I don't know, and I am confused. Very, very confused. And the last thing's gonna be the ending. Oh my God, the ending. When did he learn that trick? And he was so angry, but I mean, I do get the angry. I mean, first I was like, why is he so mad? But I get the angry because, you know, she just did the thing. So I get him being a little angry. But what fine weather we're having. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And that's the end. And you're like, what? When? How? And also, how much time passed between like the end of the tournament and then the when that scene happened? Because did that other thing? Did she make it? Was it she? Who? So many things there at the end that did not get answered. So yeah, my biggest thing though is going to be that eye color thing. It's totally, how did nobody notice that? One of the things about the book that I did have like a nostalgia feeling about was because it is this giant competition, and especially where these two people are like catching feelings for each other. Is that still a phrase? I don't know. But it was a very Hunger Games feeling there, you know, Katniss and Peeta, Calla and Anton, and you know, apparently, you know, Cleopatra and Antony. I have heard, you know, that Fourth Wing gives those vibes, but that's like a school. That's like a school thing. That sounds different. Seems different. Haven't read it though, still. But Immortal Longings, as I'm reading through their competition, as they're, you know, being put in these situations and slowly picking each other off until they're going to be down to the final few, and it's just them against everybody, and they're trying to come up with how to not be them against, like having to be against each other. So vibey to back in the day, and I liked it. I loved our setting too, how it was grungy and urban, and it played off, you know, this different sort of magic system that wasn't considered magic. It was just part of them, because the jumping gene is, you know, they do call it a gene, so it's something you're born with, but you can have different levels of strength. Your chi will be different levels. It did give off also some YA feels, but she has primarily been a YA author before, so I feel that sometimes, you know, the vibe might slip back into that. But for the most part, it was, you know, pretty adult feeling with the grittiness. I don't know what makes it an adult feeling. It's not just the content, because there wasn't much mature besides murder content. I guess that's enough to push it. I don't know. And they weren't immature. The characters themselves weren't immature acting at all. So there's that, I suppose. Overall, my rating for the book ended up being a 4.75 stars. I really did. I like this book. Now I might go back and read her YA series though. For the people who are reviewing it, they're just like, I like her other works better. I mean, this was great. And if you're like, it didn't have enough, well, she plans for it to be a trilogy. She specifically talked about in her interview that she wants to expand the world building. She wants to expand the magic system in the future books. This was just giving you a glimpse of this world and what is possible, and you know what the people's situation is and the main character's motivations for doing what they're doing. This was our introduction, and then we will expand as it should be. As it should be. Sure, we don't want to like too narrow it down, to where you have to get, like, give everything in the future books to where people aren't going to have enough to be hooked. But I think it did a good balance, because you saw the original, what she, you know, jumping is, that's where it's like taboo kind of, but yet everybody does it. And so this is so common, this is so this. And then you saw this other form of how chi was used that is not very known, but yet it is something that used to be known. And now it's known by this specific group, and possibly this other country. Who knows what they do? Who knows how their interactions with chi are and what their developments are? And you also get this form of technology and this world here where you're shown a very divided class system world, because it's all kept here because power and everything, which I guess that's how everything has been in the past. You know, power's only in the specific part, so you can't spread it out like electricity power and stuff. Okay, I think I've talked for long enough. Probably I hope this video is not super long, and I think I contain the spoilers to the spoiler section. I would love for everybody to go read this book though, borrow it, buy it, whatever. That way we can see if we can answer the questions. If you spot things, I know I saw someone talking about it on Threads about a big plot hole, and I'm like, I want to ask, is this, did I see the same thing you saw? Because generally I'm not good at spotting plot holes. I don't know why. Like, I've heard people describe them and I think about them and I'm like, oh, why didn't I catch that? So as a reviewer, I'm horrible at spotting. Why can't I say spotting? I keep saying spotting. Potholes. Okay, I'm going to end here because words are hard and I'm really messing them up. And if you've enjoyed this video, maybe you'll go check out some of my other videos, like the new book releases of the week. And if you're subscribed, you can come back and find out new books coming out every week, or see future review videos and unboxings, some vlogs maybe. And I just hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and we'll come back and I'll see y'all later.